Overseas renters are set to strain an already tight market. Today, we're going to look at this and delve into the details. Keep watching to the end because we're going to talk about the migration rates. We're going to look at the countries where people are searching to come to Australia and live. We're also going to have a look at how much rents increased from city to city. So let's dive in and take it from the top. So having a look at this, the medium and long-term arrivals to Australia ramping back up as evidence is jumping in terms of listing searches from overseas locations for properties in Australia to rent. Now, realestate.com.au has really started recently, and they said that they've seen total searches across their site up 23% for the June quarter. And this compares for searches for rental properties, which were hugely up at 71% for June 2022. So this is a huge jump that we're starting to see as the post-pandemic, travel halt has really started to stop and people are turning around and looking for new locations to live in. We saw a particular increase in China, India, and Hong Kong, where there was the largest increase in searches across all other countries, with US, I guess, probably not having the highest increase there. Now, keep watching to the end because we're going to actually run through the cities that have been impacted the greatest with the massive increases there. And we're also going to look at the migration rate. So we'll jump in that a little bit later. Now, having a look here, we're starting to see a skyrocket in searches. It's interesting to see China 431% up in June with inquiries skyrocketing. We've also seen more inquiries from India, 196% increase, and Hong Kong, 100% increase. So huge numbers there in terms of the amount of international visitors looking at rental properties across the country. And the spike in interest comes as Australia's vacancy rate is actually hovering at 1% last month, which is exceptionally low. What that actually means in real terms is 37,000 properties are available nationally in June, according to SQM research. That seems quite low in terms of the amount of availabilities. It does say that in Melbourne and Sydney, where migrants usually live and students live, there had been the highest rental availability. So that's a good sign for the international travelers that hopefully it doesn't put too much of a pressure on. But we've seen that rents have risen. They've risen at the sharpest rate they have in the last 7 years. And when we look at the last quarter for June, it revealed that the median weekly advertised rents increased by 2.2% and 7% year on year in comparison, which is a very strong level of growth and the strongest we've seen since 2015. Now, there has been a divergence between capital cities and regional areas, as capital cities recorded a 4.4% increase compared to regional areas, which are 11.4%. So I guess the regional areas are feeling the pinch a little bit more. And what they're saying here is that distance between the capital cities and the regional areas is starting to narrow. So we're starting to see that come down. And we've seen the greatest increases in areas like South Australia, Darwin, Western Australia. I guess that's particularly with their regional areas it's talking about there. And I guess most of the regional areas outside of New South Wales and Victoria have recorded double-digit growth. So it's really interesting to see such a large contingent of regional areas increasing. And it does make sense. I guess with the pandemic, we all got used to working from home, having the ability to not necessarily need to go in the office anymore. I guess these regional areas have really picked up where people are looking for that lifestyle rather than being in the inner city areas. So having a big impact on the ability there. Now, looking at the areas with the greatest increases, when we compare year on year from June to June 2021 to 2022, we can see Brisbane up 16% for houses in the rental market. So that's absolutely massive increases there. We're seeing pretty large increases for Sydney, Adelaide as well, up 11 and 12% individually, and even Perth and Canberra. So we can see here the increases have been hit really nationwide. Now, When we look at the migration stats, we can see for net overseas migration over the past 100+ years, since 1861, we can see here, 2021, an absolute dip. We had a negative net migration. So we're having more people leave the country than arrive for obvious reasons due to COVID. And that's starting to bounce back. So we don't have any data here on 2022, but we're starting to see that there's international interest in, travelers and skilled migrants wanting to move across and get visa statuses here. Now, what we're actually seeing, once again, 2021, we can see that in real terms of how much that meant from a numbers point of view by the thousands. So typically we're receiving anywhere from about 500,000 overseas migrants arriving each year. And a lot of them are on temporary visas. And that would make a huge sense. Temporary visas, you're probably going to be looking at renting rather than purchasing a property. We see that there's a large contingent of Australian residents that come back, New Zealand citizens as well, being pretty healthy numbers, and other. But that temporary visa holder, these guys might be on working visas, they might be on visas that are short-term. They're going to really look to go for the rental properties. And that's where we're going to see a huge strain on already a tightening rental market. When we look at the departure side of things, we can see we've ranged anywhere from that sort of 300,000-ish year on year. And we can see a great deal of those temporary visa holders are the ones that tend to go back, with a large number of Australian citizens as well. So really interesting data there. I think one thing for sure is the rental tightening and squeeze is certainly an issue and needs to be addressed. For those out there that don't know, we're mortgage brokers. We're based in Brisbane. We deal with people Australia-wide. So if you're looking for a mortgage broker and need assistance, hit us up at huntergalloway.com.au. Did you know there's no cost for our service? We work with people that are based in Sydney, in Melbourne, in Adelaide. And if you're looking to buy your first home, upgrade to an investment, or look to downgrade or refinance or consolidate some debt, we can certainly help. Call us at 1300 088 065. We'd love to have a chat. My name's Nathan, and I'll most likely give you a buzz and we can go through your details. So thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.